So I thought, I liked the way it turned out, I liked the colors. This next one is one of my favorites. A group of my Wisconsin sewing group, a small splinter group of about 6 to 8 people, decided to do this Lori Smith New Beginnings pattern. And it was really interesting to see because everyone chose their own fabrics. I changed a couple blocks because I wasn't excited about 2 of them, so I changed those. One gal did hers in black. Some of them had different settings. And so we all started at the same time. I think it took me about a year. And I took the quilt top when it was done home to Mom, and I said, how would you like to hand quilt this? And she said, you mean go all around all of those little pieces? And I said, well, that would be really nice. And so she just, I'll think about it. So then the next time I visited her, I think she had half of it done. And the next time I saw her, she goes, now what do you want to put in the borders? So she hand quilted that whole piece. So that's one of my favorites. How many have gone to the Minnesota quilt shows, like in St. Cloud or Duluth? Have any of you? Yeah, there's quite a few hands. There's a vendor there, cherry wood fabric. Has anyone heard of cherry wood? It always intrigued me. I mean, I loved the touch of it. It's saturated with color. So I bought a few packets, and I made this particular one. This is out of Becky Goldsmith and Linda Jenkins' book, A Piece of Cake. And I really like how it turned out. It's probably one of the times that I've actually followed a pattern and not changed anything. But it was a great opportunity for me to practice my free motion quilting. So don't look too close. It was one of my first tries at that. And of course, if you make a quilt, you have leftovers, right? This next one is also cherry wood, and I did the design, and then I found this metal flower on a clearance shelf somewhere and thought that is going to be perfect. So I just drilled a couple holes in it and attached it to the quilt, and I think it finished it off pretty well. The cherry wood is really a nice fabric, and they're from Brainerd, Minnesota. So I think my talk tonight was my quilt journey. I should have said it's my challenging quilt journey because I've done a lot of challenges, and I brought several along because they're kind of fun to look at, what you start with and what you end up with. So this first one was actually a fundraiser where you bought a half yard of fabric. They were looking to raise money for moms who needed some extra help. And the yellow fabric was the challenge fabric, which I thought was kind of really ugly. And I thought, what am I going to do with that? And so I just focused on the pattern. I think I found that flower in some magazine and then just redrafted it and actually paper pieced that. So that was one of my challenges. Another one is a scrap bag challenge. Oops. Yep. This one, yeah. The next one is, we were supposed to be inspired by a coffee cup. that we found in our kitchen. And at the time, I had 4 coffee mugs. I don't drink coffee. But that is actually the design on one of the coffee mugs. And during the quilt show, they had all of the challenges pinned up, and then they had the cups that each of them represented next to it. So it was interesting to see the finished product. The next one is called the Ugly Fabric Challenge. That one goes on the horizontal.
Oops.
There you go.
Like this?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So what you're supposed to do is pick your most ugly fabric in your stash, put it in a brown paper bag, and then you traded it with other members. And you had to come up with something with this piece of ugly fabric. And on the back is what the fabric looks like. And I thought, oh, what am I gonna do? So I tried to use as little of it as possible. This one is a song challenge, yes. Different songs were put on pieces of paper in a basket, and you drew a song. And you were supposed to come up with a quilt, any size, of what inspired you about that song. And again, I thought, what am I gonna do with that one? And the challenge, the actual song is Where Have All the Flowers Gone? And I was so excited because on the reveal, when everyone brought their pieces back, someone actually guessed what the song was. And I was like, yes.
That's nice.
Yeah. The next one is a color challenge where we drew different colors out of a basket. And I got gold, orange, and red. And I thought, I'm really lucky. Because some had brown, peach, and pink. Or, you know, they had colors that just wouldn't go together. But I started out just piecing different pieces of fabric together, and it kept looking like birdhouses. And so I kept chopping it up and re-sewing it and chopping it up and re-sewing it. And then I stenciled some different acrylic paints on it and stitched it. And I really like how it turned out. Another challenge was a scrap bag challenge. And this one, you filled up a gallon-sized bag of scraps and you traded with another member. And I actually cut all of my fabrics into strips. And I had a new template, which was the wedge template. And I thought, oh, I'll use that on this. And then I purposely picked this fabric for the back, if you want to turn it around. Because someone mentioned that if you buy a fabric that you can practice machine quilting on, you can quilt from the back and you get the design on the front. And so I purposely chose that for the back. The next one is a sunflower challenge, and what we did, I belong to a group that's about 50 members, and we all made a round sunflower pattern, and then we cut it into 4 quadrants, and we kept one quadrant ourselves and traded the other 3 with other people. And then we could put it back together whatever way we wanted to. And most of the people put it in, you know, a round circle. No, I had to do something different.
Of course, the sunflower's round.
So which one is yours that you did?
My square is, if I can remember, the lower right one. Yeah. So that was kind of fun. I'm sorry?
Are the leaves cloth or is it?
The leaves are cloth. Some of them are fused and some of them are sewn and then turned inside out. So there's more dimension. Another, actually,
This one?
this is a challenge that we gotta, it's upside down.
Oops.
There you go. This is a challenge where we got one member put in a solid piece of fabric, some buttons, one print fabric, actually 2 print fabrics, and then we could make anything we wanted to. And this is probably the first challenge that I just started. I sat down, I started with the periwinkle fabric, and I just started building out and up and down, and it just worked, and I think it's really fun. I have that one hanging on my wall at home. And I have a few things that I didn't like that I put on the back. A few things from the bag I didn't like yet.
Like a little dress mannequin with a
Yeah.
button on it.
One of the groups I belong to is the Minnesota Contemporary Guild, and they have a challenge every year. Their 2015-16 challenge was inside, outside, upside down. And this is very literal. I think you could figure out what the theme was by just looking at the piece, because there's no guessing. It's inside, outside, outside, upside down.
I never think of something like that. Jeez, that's good. That's nice.
The current MCQ challenge is big and small, and that is actually exhibited right now at, it was at the Textile Center of Minneapolis. Has anyone been to the Textile Center? It's now, it's a traveling exhibit, so it goes to the Textile Center, and then it has some other venues in Minneapolis. And it's currently big and small, and if you go on their website, you can see all of the entries, and I have 2 pieces in that exhibit right now. A couple other challenges that I'll just tell you about, because I don't have the pieces with me. A long time ago, probably in the 90s, I entered a Huffman fabric challenge. And it was for a magazine that's no longer in print. And I actually got an honorable mention. It was not put in the magazine. The honorable mentions didn't get put in the magazine, but that was kind of some ugly fabric as well. I don't know if you want to send those pictures around, you can. And then one other challenge, the Wisconsin Fiber and Quilt Museum in Cedarburg, Wisconsin had a yurt panel challenge, where a yurt is like a Mongolian tent, and they put panels so that they can keep warm. So they were looking for, as a fundraiser, people to buy a spring, summer, fall, or winter package. And in those packages, you had the challenge fabrics. And these are the fabrics that I chose. It was the summer. And it was Martha Negley's fabric. It was these 3 fabrics. And so I had to make a panel 34 inches by 72, which was an unusual size.
Wow.
But these are the only pictures I have, because my panel actually got accepted, and it's now property of the museum, and it's traveled around to a couple quilt shows, one in Chicago, the Madison Quilt Expo, which is another great